Hello everybody, welcome back to the third episode of 2020 Conversations, a series where renowned thinkers of our time discuss important issues. What I've done is that I've compiled hours and hours of interviews and talks given by these original thinkers, and I've edited out the most important and relevant aspects to being informed about the world today. So I hope you enjoy this content, and today we feature Edward Snowden and Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval Noah Harari is, of course, a renowned author and historian who's written a number of very influential books in the last few years. And Edward Snowden is the dissident and whistleblower who first disclosed the mass surveillance program conducted by the NSA in the United States. In this video, they discuss the topic of trust between governments and its citizens and why we see an erosion of that trust in authorities and experts. Let's have a listen.
And what we need to realize is that it's not true that the only way to stop an epidemic is through some totalitarian surveillance and control from above. We have a choice. We can go the way of totalitarian surveillance, or we can go the way of empowering citizens, giving them good scientific education, giving them reliable information, and trusting them to do the right thing. If you think about washing hands with soap, so you can place a camera in every toilet and punish people who don't wash their hands with soap, or you can tell people, educate people, look, there are viruses and germs, they cause disease. If you wash your hands with soap, it kills or removes the viruses, and you trust people to do the right thing. Now, which method is more efficient, we can judge.
What you see when you look at like a Japan or a South Korea are countries that already have a culture of whenever someone gets a cold, they put a flu mask on. The public listened to expert recommendations that were coming from health authorities, took voluntary individual actions like mask wearing, hand sanitizing, things like that. And what we see is that collective voluntary action can be very effective.
Maybe you can run a country when only half the population trusts the government, maybe. But in an emergency like this, you need 100% of the people to trust the government and the authorities. If you get advice from the head of government on TV and half the population goes and says, well, this person has been lying to me for years, why should I believe it now? It's going to be very difficult to handle the crisis. I think the good sign, though, is that at least when it comes to science and scientific authority, we see that almost all over the world, people have hidden reservoir of deep trust in science, despite the recent years of attacks on science. I hope that they will realize the immense danger of relying on unreliable sources in a time like this. And I can give you a simple guideline. If somebody comes to you with some conspiracy theory about COVID-19, how it started, how it spreads, just ask this person a simple question. Please explain to me what a virus is and how does a virus causes disease. If that person has no clue, cannot give you a good explanation, don't believe anything else. This person is telling you about the coronavirus epidemic. And I think we see here the importance of giving people scientific education. I'm not talking about a PhD in biology. I'm talking about basic science taught in schools. We need to teach people when they are young things like what is a virus? How does viruses mutate? You know, this whole epidemic, you can't understand it if you don't believe in the theory of evolution. Because the way that new viruses emerge and change and epidemics start, this is just evolution. If you don't believe in the theory of evolution, you can't understand the epidemic. And this is why it's important to teach the theory of evolution in school. In my home country of Israel, the government closed down the synagogues. In Iran, they closed down the mosques. Churches all over the world are telling people, stay away from the church. Why? Because the scientists said so. So even these religious establishments, when it comes to a real emergency, they trust in science more than in anything else, and that's a good sign. I hope after the crisis is over, people will remember who they really trusted in the moment of truth And afterwards, when scientists warn us about things like ecological collapse or climate change, we take it with the same trust and in the same seriousness that we now listen to the scientists telling us about epidemics.
Next, Harari and Snowden discuss why this undermining of experts and knowledge and facts is a dangerous move by politicians.
The really big problem is that over the last few years, irresponsible politicians have undermined the trust of the public in science, in experts, in the information they receive from public authorities and from the media.
What has happened is we have lived in a very trusting time where a lot of public authority information could be trusted and was reliable. And in the last decade, we have seen an intentional concerted effort by those in power, intentionally trying to reduce the level of trust. What we are seeing with Bolsonaro, with Donald Trump, with all of these people denying basic facts is intentional. It's not a mistake. It is a sustained campaign that's been running for more than a decade now to reduce trust in some of the most important institutions when we're talking about expert understanding of complex, nuanced subjects, because the facts are not in their favor. This is a political struggle for influence, and when the facts are against them, go, well, why don't we undermine the facts? This is an abuse of authority to improve their own lot in the next election. We are seeing more harm from the abuse of authority than we are suffering from a lack of authority. It is revealing structural flaws.
That concludes the third episode. Tomorrow, we will feature two other experts and original thinkers to explain how to address these structural flaws as outlined by Snowden and Harari. So please stay tuned. If you enjoy this content, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, and see you next time.